Revenge films.
The other day, I went to the grocery store. On my way home, some idiot who ran a red light crashed into my car. It was the suburbs, so there was nobody around but us. Ouch! I was in a lot of pain. I couldn't move at first. Then the guy came out of his car. He was wearing a suit. He didn't look very nice or friendly. He came over to the window and said, "What the hell? Didn't you see me?" He yelled at me. "Look what you did to my car! It's worth 5 times more than your car. You better pay for it," he said. "You know who I am, huh? I'm the head of the revenge gang. Call the cops already. Stop acting like you're hurt." He started kicking my door. Why me? I wanted to say something, but I was in too much pain. He kept yelling at me. "Get out of the car, idiot!" He kept kicking my car. My car was already messed up, but he made it worse. What the hell is wrong with him? I couldn't believe him. Then he walked back to his car and started making a phone call. From the way he was talking, I don't think it was the police. I was still in a lot of pain, but I somehow managed to crawl out of the car. I looked like a wounded caterpillar. Then I heard some voices I recognized. It wasn't just one person. "You okay? What happened?" They came rushing over. There was this shopping arcade nearby. Looks like some business owners from the stores came out to help and they recognized me. "Hey, is that you, Junior?" "It is him. We gotta help him." "The oil is spilling. Move the car." "Get Junior to safety. Hurry." They carried me and moved me to a safer location. They called me Junior because my name was Carl Jr., taken after my father. So that was what most people called me. But when the guy in the suit heard the word Junior, he started to panic. He probably thought I was the junior of some mafia family. I don't blame him though. The people that came over to help me all looked like gang members. They were actually just business owners from the liquor store, the butcher, the vegetable shop, and a construction firm. They were all pretty big too. Then one of them said to the guy in the other car, "You called an ambulance, right? When is it getting here?" He replied, "Sorry, I was calling my friend, telling him I was running late." Seriously? Call an ambulance already! I wanted to yell at him, but I was in too much pain to even speak. But the owner of the construction firm yelled at him for me. "What the hell is wrong with you? Look at Junior, he's hurt! Call an ambulance right now!" "I'm sorry!" He tried to call an ambulance, but the construction owner said, "Whatever, we'll take it from here. Junior, just hang in there, okay?" I nodded. The guy was terrified. He was turning pale. Meanwhile, the men from the shopping arcade took care of me. "Don't move too much, just breathe." They stuck by me until the ambulance arrived. After a few minutes, the ambulance came and I got rushed to the hospital. I was hurt pretty bad, but it was nothing serious. I was hospitalized for a month though. The men from the shopping arcade came to visit me many times. In fact, the nurses told them to stop coming here so often. But I was really grateful for them. They saved me. After leaving the hospital, one of them told me about the guy who ran into me. Turns out he owns a construction company or something. I thought he said he was a gang boss. I was surprised to hear that. I thought he was mafia or something. I guess not. I heard he's a really selfish person though. Apparently everyone hates him. Once, he parked in the wrong spot, and when someone pointed it out to him, he flipped and kicked the other person's car or something. Seriously? What a jerk. He sure did act like a gangbanger. Then the police checked the dashcam footage. He was clearly running a red light. Plus, he was drunk. I couldn't believe it. He was drinking and driving in the middle of the day. Looks like he did this all the time. It was a miracle that he didn't get caught all this time. Everyone in town found out about what he did. He started losing his business and his company went bankrupt in no time. Then he was sent off to prison. Oh, and the judge ordered him to pay me for damages too. I'm glad he's in jail. That's where he belongs. Oh, and apparently he thought I was the son of a mafia boss because everyone talked to me very politely. But just for the record, I've never been in a gang before. I was just a regular guy. But I was an accountant, so I knew almost all the local business owners. I always helped them out, so that's why they were so polite to me. So when he heard them addressing me as Junior and talking so politely, he thought I was a mafia member. I guess that makes sense. It's actually happened to me before. I always told them that they didn't have to be so uptight, but I was the only accountant in town, so they treated me with respect. And they helped me out a lot too. They sometimes give me free food. And when I built my house, I got a really good deal, so they've been really good to me too. Anyways, I'm glad I had people watching my back. Who knows what could have happened if they didn't come to my rescue? The guy in the suit was useless and the engine oil was spilling everywhere. It's a miracle that I made it out alive. I was so grateful for them. They took care of everything for me after the accident. Thank God for good neighbors.
The other day, I introduced my girlfriend to my parents. To my surprise, they hated her. They said she was too childish. My parents never interfered with my personal life, so I was quite surprised. It all started about 6 months ago. I met her at a matchmaking party. I was 25 at the time. She was 3 years older than me. But she didn't look like it. She looked so young and beautiful. It was love at first sight. And it wasn't just the looks. She was so generous and kind to everyone. I knew she was the one for me. I asked her out the next day. She liked me too, so she said yes. But honestly, I thought to myself, how come she's single? She had everything a guy wanted. But for the time being, I was just so stoked to have a girlfriend like her. Later, I found out that she lived with her parents. She was 28, but they were really strict. She still had curfew. She had to be home by 8, unless it was work-related. They were really strict. And she had to spend time with her family on the weekends. I could only go on dates with her in the afternoon. On weekdays, I usually worked overtime and she had curfew. So we barely got to see each other. And on the weekends, we only got to spend a few hours together due to her family rules. So I didn't get to spend much time with her.
They treat me like I'm still 10 or something. That's probably why all my boyfriends leave me. I don't blame them, though. Having strict parents is a total turnoff. I get it.
She always complained about her parents. But if it wasn't for them, she could probably get any guy she wanted. She was that pretty. So I was kind of grateful for her parents, to be honest. And we got along really well. After 6 months, I decided to introduce her to my parents. I was ready to marry her, and she wanted the same. I wanted to start living with her. By the way, my parents weren't strict at all. When I was a student, I introduced my girlfriends to them a few times. But they were pretty cool about it. But the last time I introduced someone to them, Mom said,
You don't have to introduce your girlfriend to us every time. When you find the one you want to marry, just let us know.
I guess she wasn't that interested in my love life. Unless it was for real. So after that, I never brought over anyone to the house. But with Allie, I was serious. I knew she was the one. So I decided to invite her over. She was really nervous though. Hey, no worries. They'll be delighted. Don't worry.
Yeah?
She was so cute, even when she was nervous. Afterwards, we all had dinner together. Things looked pretty cool. They didn't say anything. We all got along really well. Dad seemed to love Allie too. I guess she was his type or something. Like father, like son, right? Was pretty relieved. After dinner, I took her home. On my way back, I got a call from Mom. Oh hey, thanks for dinner, Mom. She loved it.
Yeah, about her. You're seriously thinking about marrying her?
I couldn't understand what she was saying. What do you mean? You don't like her?
She's so childish. You're really gonna marry someone like that?
Huh? She's actually older than me.
Just answer me. Yes or no?
Yeah, that's why I introduced her to you guys.
Okay. I don't think it's a good idea, though.
What? I rushed home. I had no idea why Mom was saying all those things. When I got home, we all sat down and talked, but all she said was,
She's a child. She's too childish.
I was getting frustrated. I finally snapped at them.
Fine. You know what? After you go on a date with her, head over to that restaurant I work at. Just make sure she doesn't see you. You'll see what I'm talking about.
What is she saying? I had no idea. I guess there's only one way to find out. One day I did as my mom told me. Then I saw something shocking. It was Allie. She was pigging out by herself. She was a mess. She ate like a pig. Her clothes were stained, and she was making a mess all over the table. She looked like a kid. And she ate so fast, it looked like a black hole sucking in everything around it. It was kind of scary. I mean, competitive eating is one thing, but she ate like a pig. It was a big turnoff for me. And there was this family next to her. They looked disgusted too. I had no idea what to do. I just went home and waited for Mom to come home. A few hours later, she came home. I asked her, is she always like that?
Yup. Actually, she's taking it slow today. She usually eats way more than that. She usually spends like $80. But today she only spent $50. You guys ate something on your date, right?
She was right. I took her out to a nice restaurant about an hour before she went to my mom's restaurant. It was pretty expensive, but she got full and couldn't finish it.
Sorry. It's really good, but I'm stuffed.
It's okay. I ate her leftovers too.
You can eat so much! That's so amazing!
She cheered me on as I finished her food. It was kind of cute. But now, I don't know. I thought I knew her well, but I had no idea. She had a really big eating problem. She acted like a normal girl in front of me, but it was all a lie. And the thing about her parents, those were all lies too. She couldn't go without food for very long, so she wanted to keep the date short. Eating a lot isn't a bad thing. I had a job, and so did she. But the way she ate, and the fact that she was lying to me about it all this time, I couldn't let that go. And I was scared to marry her now. I can't imagine what my life would be like if I married her. I decided to break up with her. When I told her, she asked,
Why?
I told her that my mom worked at that restaurant she always went to. She understood everything. She was still crying, but she said okay. I kind of feel bad. But when I look at her clothes, I could see the stains from all the food she spilled. I think I made the right call.
When I was 27, I dated this older girl who was 33. She was really something. It took me about a year to ask her out. But I was basically her bitch. She treated me like a pet. Actually, probably worse. She always told me.
Know your place.
But I still liked her, so I dated her for about 2 years. But she just kept getting worse. We got in multiple fights, but things didn't improve. It was just the way she was, I guess. She didn't really care about me. She even went to matchmaking parties behind my back. But whenever I got a call from someone, she flipped out. Even when it was my sister, she made me cut all ties with my female friends. Why was I still going out with her? Then I found out she was cheating on me. I couldn't take it anymore. We got in a huge fight.
Hey, I should be able to get away with this at least 5 times. I'm just that hot.
She didn't even say sorry. After all I did for her, I couldn't let it go. I snapped. I decided to get her back for what she did. Yeah, you're right. I'm just lucky to have you in my life. Sorry I got angry. I apologized. She seemed happy.
Good boy. Glad you understand. Want a beer? Oh, we're out. Hey, go out and buy some.
I was just an obedient dog to her who did everything she said without thinking twice. Okay, I will, but I played along. Then, 2 years later, she was now 35. Oh, by the way, she kept seeing the guy after I confronted her. Every time I tried to say something, she just yelled at me. Eventually, I just stopped trying. I was getting used to it, I guess. This one time, though, I even caught her cheating with some different guy. But she said,
You should be grateful that I'm going out with you. Don't tell me what I can and can't do.
By that time, I had no feelings for her, so I honestly didn't care. It was all an act. Over the past 2 years, I worked like crazy. I got a big promotion too. I was highly motivated to get revenge on her. The money started rolling in. She seemed happy about this too. I could see that she was thinking about marriage. One weekend, she introduced me to her parents, and we all had dinner together. She introduced me to her friends and relatives every chance she got. Everyone loved me. They couldn't wait for the wedding. Ever since I got a promotion, she started buying more expensive clothes. She used to say,
He loves me so much, he does anything I say.
but now she says,
He's a real go-getter. He makes so much money.
she was 35, so she probably wanted to get married as soon as possible. But she still had her pride, so she never mentioned anything to me. Then, one day, one of her friends called me out and asked me when I was going to ask to marry her.
She's been waiting for you to propose to her. Make up your mind already.
I was young and rich. She wanted me bad. But they didn't even know what was going to happen next. I had to try really hard not to laugh. I just said to her friend, "Yeah, you're right. I better tell her soon." Her friend seemed relieved. She cheered me on. The next day, I called my girlfriend and told her I had something to tell her. We met at this restaurant at night.
So, what is it?
She seemed excited. She was so convinced that I was going to propose to her. She was waiting for me to pop the question. "Here, this is for you." I handed her a ring box. She seemed really happy.
Huh? What is this?
She tried to act all cool, but I could tell. Then she opened the box. There was a letter inside. No ring. She seemed confused.
Huh?
I wrote down how I feel about you. Read it. I smiled. She probably thought it was some kind of surprise.
Wait, what is this? I'm so excited.
She opened the letter, and the letter said, "We're done. Bye."
Wait, what? Hold on.
She started to panic. "Yesterday, your friend came and talked to me. She told me to pop the question, so I thought about it all night.
Okay.
And that's my answer. I'm breaking up with you.
Wait!
Sorry, but I could never marry someone like you." She started losing it.
Why?
Why the hell would I marry someone like you? I'm not your pet. You always treated me like crap. Did you ever think how that made me feel? She started breathing really fast. She couldn't even sit up anymore. She fell to the ground. I grabbed my bag and stood up to leave.
Why? I thought you were gonna ask me to marry you.
Seriously? You've been cheating on me this whole time. Why would I ever marry you?
I won't do it again. I'm 35. Please, I thought I was going to marry you.
Sorry, but I lost all feelings for you 2 years ago.
What?
She seemed really upset. She looked up at me in despair. I've been waiting all this time to get back at you. You never cared about me. I'm just glad it's over. Bye. Then I left. She just sat there screaming my name as I left, but I ignored her. That felt good. It took a while, but I finally got her back. I took all her abuse all these years, and finally it all paid off. I made her believe that I was going to ask her hand in marriage, especially in the past year. I talked to her about kids, a new house, where we should live, all that good stuff. After, I started dating someone else. She was so sweet. I almost forgot how beautiful true love is. My new girlfriend was so good to me. And she always said things like,
I want to go on vacation with you. I want to spend more time with you.
she was adorable. She kind of got jealous whenever I talked to other girls, but she trusted me. And my brothers got along with her too. She never snapped at me. I just loved everything about her. I married her when I was 32. We had 2 beautiful children together and bought a house. I still worked like crazy, but now I had a loving wife who took care of me. A few months ago, I started my own company. Business is good. I was pretty busy, but I always spent time with my family on the weekends. Going to the park, going on vacations, all that good stuff. Life was good. I completely forgot about my toxic ex. Then, a few weeks ago, my friend got married. I couldn't attend, so I sent him a gift. And when he called me to thank me, he told me about my ex. After I dumped her, she became a shut-in. Then she started going to matchmaking parties, but she had no luck. She was just too desperate to get married. Well, she turns 40 this year, so... And given her personality, I don't think she'll ever get married.
The other day, I got an invitation for a wedding. It was one of my old friends from college. He was in the same research group as me. But when I showed up, my seat wasn't there. My name wasn't even on the list. There must be a mistake, I thought. Could you please double check? I asked the guy at the reception to double check. The other members of the research group were there too, so... Plus, it wasn't like he was my ex or anything. In fact, I barely knew him. We were in the same research group, but that was pretty much it. But who sent me the invitation? My friends looked confused too. Then he showed up.
What are you doing here, Brittany? I never invited you. We barely know each other.
Didn't invite me? What the... But I got an invitation. I had no idea what was going on. Like he said, we barely knew each other. We actually work at the same company, but we worked in different departments. And like I said before, he wasn't my ex or anything. We were never that close. Furthermore, I knew the bride, but not that well. I've never done anything to make her angry. To be honest, I barely remembered her name. But now, He was humiliating me in front of everyone. But the invitation was real. I wasn't expecting any of this to happen, though. I should have brought it with me. I thought long and hard about why this could have happened, but it was hopeless. I was so confused and upset. I started crying. The other guests just stared at me in an awkward manner. It was clear that I wasn't welcome there. I just walked out and went home. After I got home, I received countless texts. After what just happened, I didn't really feel like talking to anyone, though. But then, something unexpected happened. Turns out, when the bride, her parents, and our professor from college found out what had happened, they got really angry and called off the wedding. Many of my friends texted me saying the same thing. I called one of them to find out what happened. She said that everything seemed fine at first, but then the bride refused to come out of her room. They had no choice but to call off the wedding. Oh, and she also told me that the groom was laughing at me when I left the place with tears in my eyes. I barely knew him, but he was a jerk, all right. But still, I don't know why he would want to do that to me. I barely knew him. All of this confused my friends, too. Also, the professor and the bride's parents were there, too. They started yelling at the groom. But for some reason, his parents started defending him. Then the bride said to the groom, "You're unbelievable!" But then, the groom snapped, and they got into a huge fight. It was chaos. Then, I found out why he did this to me. Turns out, he was jealous that I got my license before him. What? Seriously? When I heard that, I didn't know what to say. He was so selfish. I can't believe he went through all of that just to embarrass me. It made me really upset. I was disgusted with him. He's been trying to get the license for years now, but it wasn't going well for him. On the other hand, I passed the test on my first try. It wasn't an easy test. You had to prepare for it for a very long time, so I worked really hard for years to get it. I even studied on weekdays after work, and whenever I got stuck, I asked around for help. But he wasn't even trying.
Studying is for losers. I don't need to study to pass the test.
I overheard him saying that once, and whenever he failed, he just made excuses.
The questions were super hard. It wasn't my fault.
Then, I realized that he sent me a text too.
You ruined my wedding. Apologize to me. I'm gonna sue you for damages.
He actually sent me multiple threatening texts. Then, he started leaving voicemail. He was threatening me with all kinds of things. I ignored him, though. When they found out about this, the bride and her parents were furious. They called off the marriage altogether. I don't blame them, though. Why would you want your daughter to marry someone like him, right? And looks like the bride felt the same way. She dumped him on the spot. She said the wedding was ruined, but she was glad that she found out the truth about him before it was too late. And since it was all his fault, she sued him for damages. At first, his parents tried to defend him, but everyone else was against them. In the end, they started blaming their son for everything too. I guess he thought everything would work. Too bad for him. Now he had nothing. The wedding was off, and now he was facing a lawsuit. Bet he didn't see that coming. And he said he's gonna sue me, but he doesn't stand a chance. And the thing is, I sued him first. I still had the invitation, so I had all the evidence I needed. Plus, I had a lot of eyewitnesses too. I also contacted his ex-fiancée. She said she'd testify if necessary. She even apologized to me for what her ex-fiancé did to me. It was pretty messed up. I could never forgive him for what he did to me, and I'm gonna make him pay. He kept saying that,
It's not my fault!
but that didn't do much to help. The judge ordered him to pay us tens of thousands of dollars in damages. I got a new dress and had my hair done for the wedding, so it was nice to get some money back. What he did to me was unforgivable. But after the lawsuit was over, I felt like I could finally let it go. I gave the new dress to a friend. I didn't even want to look at it anymore. I got some new clothes with the money I got, so it all worked out. He also had to pay his ex-fiancée tens of thousands of dollars. He finally realized that he was screwed. Good riddance.
I got pregnant after 6 months of marriage. But for some reason, my husband thought I was cheating on him, and I was pregnant with some other guy's baby. But I've never been unfaithful to him. The thought never even crossed my mind. I would never do that. It's your baby. How can you even say that? But my husband didn't believe me.
It's not mine. You're cheating on me. I know it.
Being pregnant for the first time was hard enough as is. I didn't need this right now. His words really got to me. I was starting to feel sick. Even when I was struggling with morning sickness, he said,
We need a DNA test.
Was he serious? And it went on like this. Soon, I knew I had to end things with him. So I started recording him on tape. He had no idea.
You know you're gonna have to pay me if you cheat on me, right?
Then,
It's not mine. Just get an abortion.
he even hit me in the stomach. After a few weeks, I had more than enough evidence. And he was like this the entire time I was pregnant. Then one day, he handed me divorce papers with his signatures on them. He was dead to me, so I decided to hold on to it. He just got worse from there. He harassed me day and night. I got hospitalized due to stress. But he didn't even come to visit me. He even refused to pay for the hospital bill because it wasn't his baby. So I had to dig into my own savings to pay for the hospital bill. Honestly, I was starting to have doubts about having this child. But it was too late to get an abortion. Sure, a child was a blessing, but my husband was so evil. Why should I spend time and money to have his child? I was starting to feel disgusted by all of this. I was losing my mind. But thankfully, I gave birth to a healthy baby a few months later. My husband's parents thought I was cheating on him too. But when they saw the baby, they said he looked exactly like my husband when he was born. I told them many times that he was lying, and they finally realized that I was telling the truth.
I'm sorry.
His father said to me, but then,
But it's your fault too. You made him think that you were cheating on him, so...
something inside me snapped. They were all dead to me. I was done with them. It was his child too, but I didn't even want to think about him. Then I played the recording of my husband harassing me. His parents turned pale. They went silent. When the other patients in my room saw my face, they gasped. I probably looked really pissed. While I was in the hospital, my husband played the good husband and told everyone this isn't Allie's fault. But after his mom saw the baby, she told everyone that the baby was indeed his. The relatives realized that my husband was lying all along. Some of them knew that I got hospitalized due to stress. At first, they thought it was due to guilt, but now they realized that it was all my husband's fault. I had no intention to forgive him. So after I got home from the hospital, I sued him for defamation. I also sued some other relatives who treated me like crap. They tried to blame my husband for everything, but I didn't care. A few weeks later, I got a divorce, but the baby looked exactly like my ex-husband. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to love him. And when he gets older, he's probably going to look more like him. I don't think I can handle that. That's how much I hated my ex-husband. What if I became an abusive parent? What if I abandoned my son? After much thought, I decided to put him up for adoption. My parent-in-laws heard about this. They said they'd look after my son. They told me that my ex-husband was even willing to help, now that he realized that it was really his son. But I said no.
You're putting him up for adoption! Give him back to us!
Said my ex-husband's mom. But after everything they did to me? Hell no! Then, I got a call from the adoption agency. They told me they found someone. Turns out, the woman was my parents' friend's daughter. They've been trying for years to have a child, but couldn't. So they started thinking about adoption. After much thought, I decided to say yes. They said they were still gonna keep trying to have a baby of their own, but they promised me to raise my son as if he was theirs. About a month later, they came over to my house. After meeting them, I knew that they were good people. I knew I could trust them. A few weeks later, I got a lot of calls from my ex-husband and his family.
How dare you! You gave away my son! You're cruel!
They called me all kinds of things. Good thing I got it all on tape. Then I went on to sue the relatives. I had more than enough evidence. They all had to pay me in full. It took some time, but finally, I think I can move on. Mom still calls me from time to time, asking me if I want to see my son's pictures, but I always say no. It's not that I don't love him, but the moment I decided to give him away, I was no longer his mother. They were. But I guess Mom still misses him. I hear she still keeps in touch with her friend's daughter to see how her grandson is doing. Honestly, I don't mind at all. And I don't regret putting him up for adoption either. I was not fit to be his mother. I'd rather see him grow up in a loving home than around me. A lot has happened, but I'm ready to move on with my life. I really hope everything works out for my son. Some of you may disagree with my decision, and that's fine. But I still think I made the right call.
One day, I got really sick at work, so I left early. I was feeling really sick and dizzy. It was probably a cold, so I got some meds at a pharmacy and went back home. When I got back home, I saw some shoes I've never seen before next to my fiancé's shoes. I looked around. There were clothes all over the floor. I heard a man's voice coming from the bath. I realized what was going on. Enraged, I got a stick and jammed the door from the outside. I searched the room and found their phones. The guy's phone wasn't even locked. It looked like he had a girlfriend of his own, so I decided to text her. Hi, the owner of this phone is banging my fiancé at my house. Then I sent her pictures of the clothes on the floor, along with my number. Then I heard them talking in the bath.
It won't open!
What? Why? Looks like they realized that the door was locked. Then I got a call from the guy's girlfriend. She said she was coming over right away. Looks like they realized then that they were screwed. Then I said to them, "Sorry to interrupt, but just hang on, okay?"
What? Why are you home so early, Alex?
I gotta make a few calls, so just sit back and relax. This is gonna take a while. First, I called Allie's mom. She didn't believe me at first, but she told me she was coming over with her husband right away. Then the guy's girlfriend arrived. Her name was Katie. Turns out they were engaged. They were having their wedding in 3 months. Meanwhile, in the bath...
Alex, just listen to me! Please!
"You're not getting away with this! Open the door! Now!" They were flipping out. Then Katie went over there and said,
Bob?
"Katie? Why are you here?"
Alex called me. So this is what you're up to.
"No, let me explain!"
What? What are you gonna say, huh? What is there to explain?
Then she came back into the living room.
Can I call our parents too?
"Sure, no problem. They're still naked, but whatever. Go ahead." She called Bob's parents and explained to them what happened. When she called her parents, she started crying. I had to talk to them for her. "Hi, I'm Alex."
Hi, I'm Katie's mother.
I don't think she can talk right now, so I'll explain what happened. Is your husband home?
Yes, he is. What is this all about?
I'll cut right to the chase. I caught my fiancé in the bathtub with Katie's fiancé.
What?
Yep. My fiancé and Katie's fiancé were having an affair. They're still in my bathtub. I trapped them. My fiancé's parents are on their way here.
What? Oh no.
If it's okay with you, you guys should come over too. They said they were on their way, so I hung up. Then I called my parents and told them what happened. Keep me posted. My dad sounded furious. About an hour later, everyone was there. Allie's parents, Bob's parents, and Katie's parents. None of them could believe what they were seeing. Allie's parents and Bob's parents started talking to them. I guess they didn't see that coming. We all got back into the living room, and I started recording the conversation. I was all set. I went and unlocked the door. Allie was on the floor crying. Bob was just standing there like an idiot. They were both butt naked. Then Bob's dad came in. He ran past me, grabbed Bob by his hair, and dragged him into the living room. He made him get on his knees without any clothes on. It was pretty funny. Allie seemed terrified. She wrapped a towel around her body and came into the living room. The rest was easy. I let them put some clothes on. Then, after telling them that this was all being recorded, I asked Allie to explain herself.
Alex, you're a nice guy, but I was kind of getting bored and I'm so sorry. We work together and I've been going on for 2 months now. I'm so sorry. But he means nothing to me. You're my everything. I knew he was engaged, but I thought she'd never find out.
I felt like throwing up. I went into the bathroom and vomited. "You okay?" said Allie's dad. Actually, I came home early because I felt sick. Wasn't expecting this. Then I felt it coming back again. I ran back into the bathroom and threw up again. Allie came in looking worried, but that only made things worse. I just kept throwing up. Afterwards, I asked Bob to explain his side of the story. According to him, it was Allie who led him on. He said he was feeling nervous about getting married or something. Allie looked at him in disbelief. I told her we were done. Her parents didn't say anything.
No! I don't want to break up. Bob doesn't mean anything to me. Please!
Shut the hell up! You betrayed me!
It was the heat of the moment. Please, I can't live without you.
I don't care what you do. Just stay out of my life! She broke down crying, but I didn't care. I told her I'll send all her stuff later. I also told Katie's parents that I'll send them a copy of the recording. Then Bob's parents and Allie's parents started apologizing to me. I'm so sorry about this, Alex. I feel so bad about all of this. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for Bob, too. It wasn't their fault. I kind of felt bad for them. Anyways, it was time for me to move out, too. I couldn't stay here much longer. I told them that I expect Bob and Allie to pay for everything. They agreed. Bob's parents apologized to Allie's parents and left. Allie was still crying, but her parents dragged her out of the house. It was just Katie and her parents now. Then I passed out. I woke up in the hospital. My mom was there. Katie and her parents called an ambulance right away when I passed out. They called my parents from my phone.
You should have told me if you were feeling sick. The doctor said you'll be fine, though. You feeling okay?
The next day, I was able to go home. I called Katie and thanked her for calling the ambulance for me. A few months later, I heard what happened to them through their friends. Allie had to quit her job because everyone at work found out about what happened. She also got pregnant, but had to get an abortion. As for Bob, his company found out too, and he got transferred to some dead-end post in the middle of nowhere. And Katie sued them for damages. They ended up paying her a lot of money. Oh, and after the incident, I started spending time with Katie. I got along with her parents too. A few years later, we got married and had a child of our own. It was a huge mess, but I'm glad everything worked out for us.
My sister Katie was born when I was in 2nd grade. Everyone adored her, but soon after, Mom started treating me differently. She stopped coming to Parents' Day at school after she was born because she was too busy looking after Katie. When she turned 1, Dad said they would all come and see me play at field day. He said he would take paid leave. But at the last minute, he got called into work and the plan was canceled. That morning, all my mom said to me was, "Here's your lunch." Everyone else's parents were there, videotaping them and cheering them on. I felt really lonely. And Dad got me all excited, so it hurt even more. He worked at a department store, so he usually worked on the weekends. So my parents almost never showed up at my school events. Sometimes the teachers visited the student's house, but that was it. But they bought me everything I needed, and I wanted a toy or something. All I needed to do was ask. But Mom hated it when I tried to play with my sister for some reason. She didn't even let me eat with them. She always made me wait until they were done. When we had to eat at the same time, she made me sit at a different table. Katie had Mom all to herself. I wasn't mad or anything. I was just upset that Mom treated me like this. When I was in 5th grade, Mom told me I had to go to cram school. I thought she was finally taking an interest in me, which made me happy. She told me to apply to this private school with dormitories. She wanted me out of the house. This made me really sad. But I had no choice. I studied hard and got into the school. I was all alone now, away from my family. And when I didn't have school, she told me to go stay with my grandparents. It was clear that she didn't really want me around. But my grandparents were really nice. During New Year's and other long vacations, everyone got together at their house, so I was never lonely. And all my relatives were really nice to me. They treated me like family. But still, I missed my parents and my sister. Then, one day, I was told that we were going abroad for a school trip. I needed a copy of the family register, so I called home. Mom said she'd send one over, but told me again and again not to look inside. Something was off. I looked at the register and found out that I was adopted. I knew it. If I was a kid, I would have been shocked. But the thing is, ever since my sister was born, I kind of had a feeling. Why else would Mom treat me like that, right? I asked my grandparents about this. Turns out my biological mom was my father's sister. But my biological parents got into an accident before I was born. Dad passed away and Mom had to get a C-section. Then she passed away. My father's parents were gone too, so my grandparents were planning to raise me. But Mom and Dad didn't have kids, so they volunteered, and that's how I ended up with them. But then, a few years later, they had a child of their own, so Mom didn't need me anymore. I was pretty upset about what she did to me, but they did raise me until Katie was born, so whatever. I just decided to keep my distance. Then, when I turned 18, I got a call from them asking me to dissolve the adoption. I was fine with that, but then my grandma told her to return the insurance money she got from my late biological parents. I had no idea they left me money. But then, my stepmother said that the money was gone. Apparently, she spent it all to raise me. But Grandma said that they paid for almost everything up until junior high. School bags, desks, clothes, and so on. And they had even paid for my tuition. I was really surprised to hear that. I had no idea that my grandparents were the ones supporting me. But then, my stepmom didn't really do anything for me. I was upset, but at the same time, I felt really close to my grandparents. After that, we hired a lawyer. There were records of bank transactions, and the lawyer found out that my stepmother was using my insurance money on herself. She had so much dirt on her. But then I found out that my stepfather didn't know about any of this. They got into a huge fight over this and got a divorce. My stepmother took Katie. Also, my grandma didn't believe my stepmother when she said she'd hand over the insurance money when I turned 18. So she kept most of the money with her. Good call, Grandma. Thanks to her, I had more than enough cash to move on. My stepfather offered to pay me back, but I told him it was fine. After that, I went to college and got a job. I still lived with my grandparents. They passed away a few years later. Right before they passed, they apologized to me, saying that they should have taken me in from the start. None of this was their fault, though. I told them they had nothing to feel sorry for. I was just upset about my stepmother. Why couldn't she just love me? But still, she did try to raise me at first, so it's not like she hit me or anything. But still. Today, I'm happily married with kids. I know how hard it is to raise a child. When I was job hunting, being an orphan didn't help much. But my stepfather had connections, so he helped me land a good job. I was really grateful for that. He always looked out for me. At my grandfather's funeral, I saw my stepmother and Katie.
Some of that inheritance belongs to Katie. Give us the house.
She said to me,
Are you serious? This is a funeral. You've got to be kidding me. Besides, Allie's taking everything. You're not getting anything.
said my stepfather. After that, she started harassing me. She called me day after day, telling me what a horrible person I was. It was clear I meant nothing to her at that point. It was really upsetting. But when I started working, I moved to a new city and got a new number. I cut all ties with my stepmother. My stepfather got remarried after the divorce, and so it was all behind me now. But to this day, I still think about it. What would have happened if my stepmother treated me like her real daughter even after Katie was born? Maybe things would have been different. Maybe the four of us would have had a really nice life together. I know it's pointless to think about it, but I couldn't help it. Sometimes I cry thinking about it. But I gotta move on. My parents may not be around anymore, but I gotta live for the both of them.
I met my boyfriend Alex at a matchmaking party. We got along really well.
A few years later, we decided to get married. I've been working for a while now, but he said to me,
If we get married, I want you to be waiting for me at home. Can you quit your job?
so I decided to quit and become a housewife. A few weeks before the wedding, I called him just to chat. But then, the number you have dialed is no longer in service. Strange, I thought. Maybe he got a new phone. But no matter how many times I tried, I couldn't get a hold of him. I tried calling his parents.
I can't reach him either. I'm worried too.
They didn't know anything. Maybe something had happened to him. I was starting to panic. Then, a week before the wedding, he finally called me back. I was so happy when I got the call, but I couldn't believe what he told me after.
We gotta cancel the wedding.
I had no idea what was going on. What? Why? Where are you?
I'm with my ex.
What? I was speechless. I wasn't expecting that. Turns out he was with his ex all this time.
I could never forget about her. I wanted to see her one last time, and I realized I wanted to be with her.
I couldn't believe him. The wedding was a week away, and it just kept getting worse. Turns out he was never serious about marrying me. He went to the matchmaking party to make his ex jealous. And then when he told his ex about our marriage, she said, "No, don't marry her. You're mine." And so his plan to get back to her worked. Since he didn't need me anymore, he wanted to cancel the wedding. He used me just to get his ex back. And his plan worked, so he didn't need me anymore. I was so shocked I couldn't even think. But the wedding was a week away. First, I went around apologizing to my relatives. All my friends helped out with the wedding. I felt really bad. But everyone sympathized with me about what happened. Everyone was really angry with Alex. Some of them even went to his parents' house to talk with them. But I had really good friends. They all helped me move on. At first I was upset, but now I was angry with them. First, I talked to a lawyer my friend introduced me to. I started building a case against him. Needless to say, I had to cancel all the wedding plans and honeymoon reservations. I calculated all the cancellation fees. The contract stated that the cancellation fee at this point was 100%. Plus, he told me to quit my job. So I decided to ask him for 3 years' worth of pay as well. I also went to the beauty salons for the wedding, so I included that as well. The total came out to be around $100,000. After everything was in order, I struck. I hired a detective agency and found out where his ex lived. He was still living with her there. I sent him the court papers first. I sent his ex the same thing. I was suing them both for damages. His ex responded to me first. We all got together at my lawyer's office.
I didn't know about any of this. Leave me out of it.
She tried to talk her way out of it, but she ruined my wedding. You're not getting off that easily. He told me everything. We know that you told him to cancel the wedding. I played the recording I had on my phone. Did she really think I was just going to let go and leave them alone? When she heard the recording, her face turned blue. She knew she was screwed. But hey, if you don't want to pay me, we can always let the court decide. She was starting to panic. She knew there was no way out of this. I told her I'd give her a discount if she left Alex. She agreed to it immediately. I knew she'd say yes to him, so I multiplied the original amount by 1.5 times ahead of time. I wasn't losing any money either. She went down pretty quickly. But Alex, not so much.
We're not even married. I don't have to pay you.
Really? That was his defense? Too bad he signed all the contracts with me. He was there. He was so dumb. And now that he was single again, he went on to say,
Hey, let's get married. We won't have to worry about the cancellation fee then, right?
he was so stupid. I couldn't believe he actually said that.
Plus, you get to marry me after all. It's a win-win.
Wow, just wow. First of all, the wedding was supposed to be more than a week ago. And why did he think that I still wanted to marry him? He was dead to me, so I just ignored him. Now that he was all alone, he went back to live with his parents. A few days later, his parents dragged him out of the house and brought him over to my house. They apologized to me.
Please, we'll do anything to make this right.
They begged me for my forgiveness. His parents were literally on their knees, but he was still standing. He didn't look happy. He kept trying to talk his way out of it. Then his father snapped. He punched him in the face and knocked him out.
You just don't get it, do you? You ruined her life. You gotta pay for what you did.
He was speechless. Alex didn't have enough money to pay me in full. So his parents fronted him the cash and I got paid in full. I was very grateful for that. I also called all the guests we invited to the wedding and explained everything that happened. I told his colleagues and boss too. Everyone at work found out about this in no time. The women in his department started calling him all kinds of names behind his back. Finally, he couldn't take it anymore and quit his job. Today, he lives with his parents, working day and night to pay off his debt. He lived in the countryside, so it wasn't going to be easy getting another full-time job. Good luck! He sometimes texted me.
I still want to marry you. Don't spend the money I gave you just yet. Hold on to it.
What's wrong with him? Seriously. I forwarded the message to his dad and he had a long talk with him. Plus, it wasn't his money to begin with. Pathetic. This whole thing kind of traumatized me, so I stayed away from the dating scene for a while. But a few years later, I met someone really nice and got married. Last week, we threw our wedding. All our friends were there. They were really happy for me. I love my husband and trusted him completely. But still, a week before the wedding, I got kind of nervous. But I had nothing to worry about. He was always next to me. Finally, I was getting my life back on track.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.